Hi, this is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center. I'm here with Hall of Famer Frank Karsten at the World Championships in Rome, and we're looking at a very, very unusual extended deck list. Normally when you see a deck list that has main deck continued on the back side of the deck sheet, you know, you're really talking about like a player coming to his first PTQ, you know, he's got a million cards. Frank, you're playing a Highlander deck in extended. What's going on?
Well, actually the deck is pretty good. I've been testing it and it has fine matchups against Zoo and Dark Depths and Hypergenesis, like going 50-50 or better against those decks. But well, mostly it's like putting like a new challenge for me, trying to see how many games I can win with Highlander decks. And I also really enjoy like the threat diversity, like playing all the one-offs. Your opponent doesn't know what to expect and every game is different, lots more new interactions, and it's a lot of fun.
So, I mean, on the surface, I guess it's a blue-white control deck.
Control combo, I would say.
Okay. Walk us through the different packages of the deck, because it's hard to outline 56 individual different cards, but we've broken it down into groups. So walk us through the different groups.
Yeah, exactly. Like even though it's Highlander, there's a lot of like redundancy cards with exactly the same functionality, and I try to find the optimal amount for each like group of functionality. Well, let's start with the lands. There's not much to it except that I'm playing pretty much all the reasonable available blue-white dual lands, and well, a couple more basics.
So the only concession to repetition is in your basic lands here.
Yes. Well, in Highlander you're allowed to play more than one basic land.
And you didn't consider like maybe a Manamo or an Oboro here?
Actually, I did, but that would make the Nimbus Maze and the Glacial Fortress worse.
Okay.
So that's why I went with more basics.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually been testing. Well, all this is a sideboard. I guess we'll get to that later. These are the card advantage spells, the ones that you would expect in any blue deck.
Some you wouldn't expect. I mean, Cortosar is an odd choice perhaps for extended.
Sure, but it's actually pretty good against Dredge, since you can play it without paying the white and then you remove their bridge from belows. And also against Zoo, well, you can play it and block their Gurdapes or something. It's actually fine. Well, over here you have the anti-creature cards. To beat decks like Zoo, you need enough creature destruction, so that's why all these, the Red of Gods, the Pater Exiles, and all the similar cards, so to say. Also against Dark Depths, cards like Condemn, Pater Exile, Temporal Isolation are really good. Maybe I can chum block once and then play like steal the token or take it away. Over here are some counter spells. At first I had many more counter spells in the deck, but when I started tuning, I felt that they just were not good enough in this format. So these are the only counter spells left. Probably the best ones available. Like Fencer is good against the Dark Depths token, and Spellsetter's Pride is really good against Hypergenesis, for example. Over here you have some win conditions.
Because you gotta have those.
Yeah, you need a couple. But actually, the way the deck wins most often is through this, the Thopter Foundry Sword of the Me combo. If you get those two out, basically for 1 mana you can make a token and gain a life. Being Highlander, it's not always easy to assemble the combo, but as you see I have some tutors.
You have a Fabricate, a Muddle the Mixture, Tezzeret, a Seeker. Sure.
Yeah, and well, lots of card draws, so often I can find the combo in time. Also there's Gifts and Given, which is, well, probably the best ever in this deck.
This is one of your favorite cards of all time, right?
Yes, and Gifts and Given is even better in a Highlander deck, of course, since you get more options.
Now, we were talking about this, actually we were talking about this deck before the tournament a little bit, and Bill Stark was giving you a hard time. He's like, come on, Frank, you have to play more than one Gifts Ungiven. I mean, did you consider that?
I considered it. It would probably improve the deck, I guess, especially like making like the combo, finding the combo pieces more consistent. But that would violate the constraint of playing Highlander. I just wanted to limit myself to one of each card and see what could happen. Well, I probably started the list with one Gives and Given and went from there.
So,
well, the last couple cards in the deck are like the Trinket Mage and the Tutor targets. Jealous of the Void against Hypergenesis, Relic of Progenitus against Dredge, but also reasonable against Punishing Fire. And well, with like a Chalice, a Trinket Mage, Fabricate to search for the Chalice, etc. You have fine game against Hypergenesis.
sure, so this is like the category of other, right, in the deck?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So, you talked about in your Hall of Fame interview that this is something you wanted to do. You really would like the challenge of, and you've talked about it here. Is this something you could conceivably do next year on the Pro Tour? I mean, do you see yourself going to a full Pro Tour where you're going to play 10 rounds of Constructed? And do you see yourself playing? Do you think you can play a Highlander deck in Standard?
Probably. Like the first thing that comes to mind for a Highlander deck in Standard would be like either like a 5-color control deck or a June deck with some white cards. Just putting in the best available cards in those colors. I guess if you take a look at all the I guess block constructed list or maybe all the standard list, you can easily come up with, let's say, like 30 or 40 different distinct cards that are reasonably being played in Jund decks or Jund-like decks. It's also the same for this deck. I mean, pretty much all the cards that you see could reasonably be played in an extended deck. There are no really bad cards in there.
Right,
so,
just some unusual cards. I mean, and by
sure,
that I mean cards that people don't traditionally play, but maybe.
But they're still fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like you stumbled on some cards that maybe are overlooked in a normal constructed environment because you were forced to go outside of the boundaries of what people are traditionally playing with?
Well, I guess crazy things like the Muldrifter and the Court Hussar, which are good, fine card drawers, but are fine against Dredge to just play and then they die immediately and remove their bridge from belows. Apart from that,
well, I think there's a pretty interesting card in your sideboard. Let's take a look. I mean, again, we have a Highlander sideboard with 15 cards, but I think the highlight for me is Ixodron, a card I love in EDH, but I haven't seen in a lot of extended decks yet. Tell us about that card.
Well, that card is in there mainly against Hypergenesis. Like they play Hypergenesis, put on all their creatures, and then eventually you put down the Ixodron, flip over all their creatures, and like even things like Progenitus. Nah, it's a morph. And well, I played against Hypergenesis today, and the Ixodron was really invaluable against the red Acroma. So it's good.
And you can actually just play this card too. You don't have to just, they can go Hypergenesis, you can put some lands down and then untap and draw it or search for it or do something and then play it.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a fun option. I'm not sure whether it's really, really good. If you're not Highlander, probably just play more Chalice of the Void or something like that. But it's fun. Yeah, when you look at the sideboard, it's also grouped in terms of functionality. You have some cards against Dredge, some cards against Affinity, some cards against Hypergenesis, and these two are mainly against Dark Depths. And then some other cards like Meddling Mage, Glendalendra are against controller combo decks. These cards against the Kibble Zoo or mid-range decks. Well, there's lots of flexibility at least.
So one of the funny things I saw with this deck is I came across Frank playing a match earlier today, and his opponent had played a Meddling Mage against him.
He actually had two in play.
How do you Meddling Mage this deck?
I think he had not noticed that I was playing Highlander actually. Well, the first one named Top the Foundry, which is reasonable since I usually tutor for it. The other one named Baneslayer Angel, like he was already thinking, well, what should I name? I don't know, Baneslayer Angel, and I was actually holding it in my hand.
Oh, no. That's great. So, interesting thing to note is that you actually have 6 draws in this tournament.
Yes.
So you have 3 draws in extended. Does that mean you have 3 draws? Did you have 3 draws in standard also?
2 draws in standard and 1 in limited.
You have a draw in Zendikar limited?
Yeah, like I played this match where like both of us were really like taking a while with placing great hearts and some 0-4 walls and just not enough turns. Like I think if the rounds were 60 minutes, I would only have 1 draw instead of 6.
Okay.
Like pretty much all my matches, even the ones in extended, if I would have had more time, like a couple more minutes, then I would have been able to win the match. Like probably the lack of preparation, has hurt me a bit in my playing speed. Since, well, I have to think about everything. And
right. That's one of the things I was saying. One of the drawbacks to this deck for you seems to be the idea that you have 7 cards in your hand. You have 7 live cards, and they're all different.
Yeah.
And I mean, you go into the tank when you have 2 live cards in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I play Gibson Given, and I try to do it as fast as possible. But even then, with all the tutors in the deck, it can take a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. We have Aggregate Highlander. I mean, he did a lot of work on this. He distilled it. The Highlander decks have exactly 1 ponder, and so that's what he played. For Frank Karsten, this is Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center at the World Championships in Rome.